The deck creaks beneath bare feet. The smell of salt mixes with sweat, fear, and restrained sobs. Women clutch rosaries between their fingers. Children hold cloth dolls as if they were anchors. Men stare at the gray horizon, trying not to look back. At the dock, the island slowly shrinks. The volcanic soil, the white houses, the green fields fade into the mist. No one knows if they will return. No one knows what they will find. What drives an entire people to abandon their own land? It was the Azorean Emigration of the 1900s, a silent exodus that crossed the Atlantic and reshaped destinies. It was not a sudden escape, but a deep rupture. Entire villages emptied. Families were split in half. Departure became routine. The extraordinary was not leaving, it was staying. Before that, the islands lived in a fragile but real balance. There was work in the fields, abundant fishing, religious festivals that brought generations together. The orange trade, cattle, small-scale agriculture sustained proud communities. The sea was both threat and livelihood. There were hardships, yes, but also belonging. Life had rhythm. It had a name. It had roots. The Azores were a strategic point in the Atlantic. Ships crossed their waters toward America and Europe. News arrived through the ports. Letters came from across the ocean, telling stories of high wages and wide streets. The local economy depended on the climate, the harvests, and distant markets. A single crisis, a crop disease, a drop in prices, and everything trembled. The very connection with the world opened the door to departure. The origin of the movement was not only in the Azores, it was in distant lands, in the industrial growth of the United States, in the plantations of Brazil, in the promise of factory work in New England. Shipping agents traveled through villages offering installment tickets. Photographs of modern cities circulated like relics. Hope traveled before the people did. The point of contact was the harbor, Horta, Ponta Delgada. There, simple suitcases were weighed like destinies. The boarding ticket became a portal. By crossing the ship's gangplank, the emigrant crossed more than the ocean. They crossed an invisible border between the known and the uncertain. And then the spread. Year after year, more departures. One neighbor wrote home about success. Another sent money. Houses were sold. Land was leased. Silence began to echo in the streets. Schools with fewer students. Churches with empty pews. Absence became landscape. Explanations mixed faith and necessity. Some said it was divine will. Others blamed the distant government in Lisbon. There were those who believed America was a paradise without winter. Few understood the hardships waiting on the other side. Exhausting shifts, prejudice, crushing homesickness. Even so, the current did not stop. Bonds were broken. Fathers left alone, promising to send for the family later. Siblings followed different paths. The community's moral fabric, once solid, began to fracture. Those who stayed felt abandoned. Those who left carried guilt. Letters became fragile bridges between worlds. In desperation, accusations arose. Some pointed to merchants, others to local authorities. There was tension between those who had the means to leave and those who did not. Inequality became visible. The American dream created divisions within the islands themselves. And it was not only the towns. In the countryside, fields were left uncultivated. Stone walls enclosed nothing but wind. The green remained lush, but there were no hands to work it. The devastation was not of war, it was of absence. Over time, the flow decreased, not because the pain had ended, but because many had already gone. The remaining communities reorganized themselves. New routines emerged over old gaps. The tragedy did not explode, it drained away. The post-emigration world was different. Remittances sustained families. Larger houses appeared in villages, built with dollars. Azorean identity came to exist on two continents. Culture, accent, and traditions traveled and returned transformed. The islands would never be the same again. Today, airports have replaced old steamships. Mobility is greater, but the question remains: what does it mean to belong to a place when leaving becomes tradition? To look at the Azores of the 1900s is to understand that the past is not only memory, it is movement, it is forced choice, it is survival. And perhaps by crossing these stories, we can see more clearly the paths we still choose to follow.